to get our bearings together and we'll start. Honored to have such an august audience of our colleagues, doctors, Sister Ji, you as well, and the lovely patients who are sitting in the audience along with their loved ones and their carers. So, where hope begins. We are here to only talk about hope and how life can change in a positive way for someone after a diagnosis with cancer. And because cancer is a lifestyle disease, the treatment of cancer cannot start and stop with the prescription of a doctor. It cannot start and stop in the clinic of the treating doctor. It has to go way beyond into your lifestyle, into your homes, and not just you, but also your family members who need to be your partners as you all learn to live a healthy life together. So first of all, we are going to start with the Saraswati Vandana, which is going to be performed by our very talented in-house Medanta nurses.
शिशु है अज्ञानी माता, किन चरणों का प्यार दे। वीरा माई तार दे, तार दे, तार दे, माँ सरस्वती शार दे, माँ सरस्वती शार दे।
Thank you so much for the lovely performance. So we start on an auspicious note. We're honored to have Dr. Vaid, who's chairperson of oncology at Medanta, and Dr. Tejinder Kataria, chairperson of radiation oncology. Sir and ma'am, I would like you to please come on stage and say a few words before we start. Hanji? Dr. Kataria, women's first, he say.
Good evening, everybody, and greetings from the family of Medanta doctors and the caregivers, along with our special guests here today, who Dr. Kanchan has been able to bring out of their own shells and be here with us today evening. So this October month is the month of breast cancer awareness, and this program is actually a part of that. And the theme of today's afternoon is where hope begins. And hope actually is what gives life, especially for breast cancer patients who've been diagnosed in an early stage. They must understand that they're going to live a very fulfilled and a normal life after their treatment. And for the patients who've been diagnosed in the third or fourth stage, for them also the hope is there because of the present day advancements in molecular biology, in the treatments that are available, plus the supportive care by way of nutrition, by way of emotional, psychological, and human support that's available. So these are the things which will make a holistic treatment available to our patients, and also the spiritual guidance, which we are going to hear about it subsequently in the afternoon, as to how it makes a difference in the outcomes for a patient. So not taking more time, I'd just like to leave a message that a diagnosis of breast cancer is not the end of the road. It is the beginning of a new journey of self-discovery for the woman who actually has been nurturing everyone. From the time she is born, a woman is taught to give herself, to give everything that she has on all her domains, to bringing up the family, to supporting her parents' family, and then the married family, and then her friends. So woman is a giver, but she has to learn to nurture herself. So when a breast cancer diagnosis is made, that is when that discovery of self starts. So that is where the hope starts, that she can have the treatment, outlive the disease, and then start giving back to everyone that she has lived with, and also herself, as she evolves after the treatment. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome. So in any disease or in any cancer, there are two issues: what is modifiable and what is not. The genes we have inherited, we can't modify that. The environment we live in, we can't modify. We cannot modify the polluted air outside. We cannot modify the food additives. We cannot modify the pesticides and insecticides, processing of foods. What is modifiable is what we eat and the type of lifestyle we lead. And I think that's the essence of the discussion today. And we can modify what we eat. Of course, it's a very simplistic, very naive way of saying that have a balanced diet. But what is balance? Chamatkari diet koi nahi hai. Mankind has survived this earth and the environment without doctors for thousands of years. What has changed in the last 100 years, 150 years? 1931, there was one survey which was done in British India, the only health survey done by the British. Cancer was not one amongst the top 10 diseases because people were not living long enough. The average life expectancy was just 37 years. So if someone develops diabetes at 30 years, so must live for the next 30 years or 40 years to develop the complications of diabetes. If someone succumbs at 37 or 40 years, one wouldn't get the complications of that. So cancer is partly a disease of the aging, and how we age, in which environment we age, I think that's very important. So rest, I'll not steal the thunder away from the discussions. A lot would happen in the subsequent sessions. I'll leave you with those thoughts. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, sir, for putting it in perspective. So now we are going to have a panel discussion on stage. So we're just going to get the stage organized, and we are factors in our lifestyle and our diet. And I'd like to call Mr. Deepak Sabharwal. I've been associated with him for, I think, almost a decade now. And my journey of moving from pesticide-laden, insecticide-laden food to what I was initially very skeptical, can canned food be grown without pesticides and insecticides? I like to do a little bit of my farming, and I've realized that if you don't put enough pesticide and insecticide, you'll only actually get 20% of what you sowed. Rest all goes to nature and organisms. So, but then I've had a good association with him, and he has very kindly agreed to help us take this journey forward. So we'll just start on the stage. I'm inviting Mr. Deepak Sabharwal.
Namaskar. First of all, thank you, Team Medanta for inviting me over here. My journey towards, modifying, as Dr. Saab said, a part of life, started in a very strange way. I'm son of a fighter, a cancer survivor herself, my mother. And before that thing happened, I was happily, merrily working in corporate. And about 8-9 years back, when I started moving towards farming, incidentally, at the same very time, my mother got diagnosed with 2 carcinomas, not just 1, 2. And of course, it took a while for us to understand what was happening. I continued my farming while I was working with GE. I'm a CA. Then I realized that, the food that we were growing and eating at my own farm was incidentally full of pesticides, and it does lead to slow poisoning, whether we, accept it or not. And that's where the journey of Earthy Tales started. Now we work with organic farming community across several states to help them keep the environment and our soil clean, our food clean. And then we work with communities in cities to help them move towards a food which we believe is good for them. We believe that acha an leads to acha man, and that is what leads to acha tan. So, thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Dr. Sandhya, our head nutritionist at Medanta, on the stage, please. Aye. Anchal, Sister Poonam ji, we'll escort you up on stage. Yeah. Aye, please take a seat. Deepak ji, आप यहीं से करेंगे coordinate, or do we have a mic there? Okay. Isaac, please. And I will self-invite myself, and we'll make it interactive, so any questions from the audience will be appreciated. Thank you. देखने दो था. It's okay. Let's start. It wastes time. Let's start. Yeah. It's okay. Everybody knows we've got a mic. We can start.
Yeah, I don't
Hello? Yeah, are we audible? Hello? ठीक है? Yeah.
I don't think it is on. आवाज़ नहीं आ रही है.
Are these mics on? Can everybody hear us? Yeah? Okay, let's
I
start.
think we are generally on.
Can we get a mic that works?
now it's
yeah, I
working.
think it's
Yeah.
working now. Yeah.
I think we've got a beautiful and a complete quorum, I can say, on the dais.
Do we have the other mic?
Much better?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was just saying that we've got a lovely quorum on the dais, something which we believe, will take care of, good health and a happy life. I think spirituality, positive thinking, way of life.
आप ये माइक ले लीजिए. इसको बंद कर दें क्या? Anshul, who's looking after the audio?
Hello, hello.
Okay, so is it better now? Sorry about this. I think it's a lovely setting. What do we need for good health? We need, as I was saying, acha man, acha an or acha tan, right? So to talk about the matter of spirituality, we have Sister Poonam from the Kumaris. Kindly please welcome her. I think another integral part is the food and nutrition, which obviously plays a very important role in our daily lives to keep us healthy and to help us get back to health once, unfortunately, if someone falls sick, right? So nutrition, is as much as a fascinating science as much as it is an art when it comes to food. So to talk about this, we have Dr. Sandhya Pandey, Chief Dietitian at Medanta, Gurugram. And of course, we have Dr. Kanchan Kaur, Senior Director, Cancer Institute, Medanta. Of course, a renowned oncologist, but as she mentioned, a great nature lover. And I think one of the most passionate people I have seen who's been promoting a preventive lifestyle so as to keep, our communities healthy. And now she, in fact, grows food in her backyard as well, right?
Yes. Vegetables as well.
As I said, I'm Deepak Sabharwal. I'm one of the founders at Details Organic. And we work with farming communities across India to ensure that the food that we consume is free of pesticides. The topic of this panel discussion today is basically to explore, or rather I should say, understand the direct relationship between spirituality, food, and health. I think these things, are all interlinked and eventually help us to stay in good spirits, both physically and mentally. So I'll start possibly with Sister Poonam. What do you think is the impact of thinking on humans, especially positive thinking? How does it ensure or lead to, let's say, physical well-being of all of us?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me here. And I would always love to attend such type of gatherings जहाँ पर लोगों में एक awareness आए. So I thank the whole Medanta team, especially Aanchal ma'am, to invite me. So the question is कि how the positive thinking helps. तो अब आप देखिए positive thinking जो है, thought is the base of our overall personality. हमारा जो पूरा व्यक्तित्व होता है, उसका आधार ही हमारे संकल्प होते हैं. कहते हैं as you think, so shall you become. ये सेइंग हम सभी ने सुनी है बचपन से, as you think so shall you become. So each and every thought has a great impact on our personality. And talking about the breast cancer, जिसके लिए आज हम सब इकट्ठे हुए हैं, चाहे कोई भी बीमारी है, अगर उसमें आपका एक पॉजिटिव थॉट जो है वो जितना काम करता है उतना शायद आपकी मेडिकेशन भी उतना हेल्प नहीं कर पाएगी. मेडिकेशन इज़ ऑब्वियसली वेरी इम्पॉर्टेंट, द सेल्फ अवेयरनेस इज़ वेरी इम्पॉर्टेंट, द डाइट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट, बट योर थॉट इज़ द बेस. अगर आप एक अच्छा विचार रख करके अगर कोई भी अन्न खाते हैं या एक अच्छा विचार रख करके अगर आप अपनी कोई भी मेडिकेशन लेते हैं तो उससे वो हीलिंग प्रोसेस जो है वो ज़्यादा अच्छा हो जाता है. तो मेरे ख्याल से सर पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग इज़ वेरी इम्पॉर्टेंट, बट हाउ टू रिमेन पॉजिटिव, दैट इज़ द challenge.
Yeah, you very well said. So, acha man does definitely lead to acha tan, right? And I think I can say that from my own personal experience in case of my mother. She was 70 when she was diagnosed with the cancer. And you know, I still joke to the day that she's the only man in the house, right? Sorry to say that, but you know, she took it, you know, in a way that you know, I am fine, I want to be fine, I want to stay fine, and that's how it has been. So I guess, as you rightly said, agar vichar hamare positive ho, then we can keep defeating whatever, you know, hits our way. Let's now get a different perspective, Dr. Sandhya. So what is acha ann actually? You know, what is nutritious food? You know, you, to different patients, as part of your, you know, team effort here, you know, you prescribe different nutritional requirements depending on what they are, you know, the situation they are in. But for a healthy human being and to stay healthy, what exactly is a nutritious food?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Kanchan and everybody here to having me here on the dais. So, very important question, and I think Dr. Vaid ने पहले ही इसके लिए stage set कर दिया था, modifiable factors की बात कर रहे थे. Now, there are some things that are non-modifiable, which is your genetic predisposition, जो आपके genes में है, but environment मिलेगा. The simple thing is, the seed will actually grow only when it gets the right environment. Similarly, if you are eating right and healthy, that will prevent you not just from cancer, but a lot of other cardiovascular diseases, चाहे वो heart की disease हो, चाहे diabetes हो, चाहे hypertension हो. So, base में healthy eating है. Now, what is interesting is, if you look at the traditional Indian diet, it is primarily a healthy diet. Thankfully, we are still not processing food, ultra-processed food, जो अब एक नया culture, नया तो नहीं कहेंगे, लेकिन अब ये culture जो है आगे बढ़ता जा रहा है, क्योंकि हम busy होते जा रहे हैं. It's a fast-paced life, wherein we are eating food which is quickly and easily made. So ready-made stuff is available. We are going for bakery products, breads, cookies, you know, stuff like that, which is a lot of sugar, which is a lot of fat, which is a lot of salt. And all these are the cause for diseases. And there are various guidelines, international, national guidelines, which are now saying not just to prevent cancer. In fact, 70 to 80% of cancers can be traced back to the kind of diet that we are eating. Now, interestingly, what happens is, as soon as the diagnosis happens, we start talking about food. And that is the time when the patient walks into the hospital and says, "Ab main ye nahi khaunga." You know, so all of a sudden they'll start talking about quinoa and chia and brown rice, and then they would talk about all those, you know, things that they probably have never tasted and eaten. So I say that it may sound very simple, and sometimes people expect me to talk about things which are different, because agar wo complicated nahi hoga to fir kuch gadbad hai. So healthy diet is not as complex. It is primarily the same things that we eat. So there are basic 7 food groups that we have. Cereals, anaj, okay? Now cereals should not be refined. So complex carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates jo aap sunte hain, anything which becomes refined, maida ho jayega, that would remove the fiber, that would remove the B vitamins, that would remove the phytonutrients, all the good nutrients from there. So make it complex. Millets ki hum baat kar rahe hain. Millets are the new thing that the government is also now promoting. Ragi, bajra, jwar, you know, fox millets. Try and use them. These are very cheap, easily available products. So go for unprocessed, unrefined oats. Again, steel cut oats. Dalia, jo hum normally khate hain, rather than going for those breads. You know, so that would be a good change. Then coming on to pulses and legumes, dalein khaiye. Chilke wali dalein, rajma, chole, lobia, kale chane. Now if you go to the Western world, they have baked beans. We still make our rajmas and choles ourselves. And, you know, we soak it, we cook it, we do it all ground up. Okay, so we could do that. But probably we should not cook it, overcook it as much as possible. Then we come to vegetables and fruits. So we say that, and the recommendation is we must have 400 to 500 grams of vegetables and fruits, preferably unstarchy. So aloo is not really a sabzi. Okay, aloo goes into a cereal category. So you will have to then look at all the green leafy vegetables, all the fruits. About 5 servings of fruits and vegetables can actually prevent cancer. It's as simple as that. And there have been various campaigns that were run around 5 a day, 7 a day to make sure. So it's very simple. You can simply have a katori of dal, sabzi, salad. If you have that for lunch and dinner, and probably a bowl of, you know, fruits, that would really work well. If you're too busy, you know, you can have a plain yogurt, some fruits, some nuts, some seeds into it, and it makes a nice smoothie if you want to. Or generally, poha, or if you see Bihar में चिड़वे के साथ दही खाई जाती है और उसमें जैगरी डाला जाता है, उसमें nuts डाल दीजिए. It's a healthy, beautiful breakfast and absolutely not very complicated to make. So that, and then we come to nuts and seeds. Now, omega-3 fatty acids are anti-inflammatory. Pro-inflammatory are the things that would increase the inflammation and cause the trouble, okay? So pro-inflammatory में all the refined food, sugar, fats, ये सब आएंगे. Anti-inflammatory में omega-3 fatty acids आएंगे. So almonds, walnuts, pistachios, nuts जितने होते हैं, but unsalted. You know, not fried. So these are the ones. One fistful is good. Add flax seeds to your diet. Omega-3 rich hota hai. We are all vegetarians. So that is the reason it is important that we add that to our diet. Now, non-vegetarians, you have to be careful. Red meat goes into the category of carcinogen clearly. It increases the incidence of cancer. The percentage goes up. So red meat is a clear no-no. And red meat's processed becomes a poison. So if you are having ham, sausages, salamis, trust me, we are clearly going in that direction, and we do not know, we are opening a Pandora box of problems and when it would hit us. So the thing is, we have to really literally say no. All the smoked products, जो barbecue लगाए हैं हमने, roast कर रहे हैं, grill कर रहे हैं, non-veg we are eating so much, that has to be curbed and controlled. I would say no to, and these are the guidelines, no to red meat, no to processed meats totally. And the cooking method has to be boiling, steaming, poaching, rather than grilling and dry heating. So that would be one component of it. No to alcohol. In fact, in cardiovascular disease, they still say 1 to 2 drinks. But for cancer, they say no amount of alcohol can be linked to ki kitna safe hai. They have said, we don't know yet. So don't have alcohol. Tobacco and smoking. In fact, we are leaders in having tobacco, and that's the cause for a lot of lung cancers. So no, none of these things. And of course, exercise, keep your weight under check. BMI between 18.5 to 22.9, and exercise. So I think I tried to cover everything.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think what Dr. Sandhya was saying is eat local, eat seasonal, and as less processed as possible, right? Basically, जो हमारा इंडियन खाना था या है, तो शायद हम भूल रहे हैं, अब वापस आना है. देखिए, बड़ी कमाल की बात है कि मिलेट्स को अब हम नया फैड के तौर पे देख रहे हैं, but if you possibly go back 152 to 200 years back, तो आपको इंडिया के हर कोने पे एग्री मैप पे मिलेट्स दिखेगा. इनफैक्ट इट इज़ एज ओल्ड एज इंडियन सिविलाइजेशन. इट्स नॉट दैट इंडिया में मिलेट होता है, ग्लोबली होता था, बट ये हमारा अपना खाना था जो हमारे यू नो ज़मीन के हिसाब से, हमारे टेम्परेचर के हिसाब से था, राइट? सो इट्स कमिंग बैक एंड यू नो लेट्स होप दैट इट स्टेज फॉर लॉन्ग. So, Dr. Kanchan, over to you now. You've been yourself a promoter and a user of you know, pesticide-free food. I remember 7 years back your questions to me as a buyer as to, you know, what is the source of the food. We've worked with some farmers, you know, and some people in Punjab, and we realized that the incident of pesticide usage is the highest there, and therefore there is some correlation, documented correlation in studies done that the cancer rates are higher there as well. As a doctor, Dr. Kanchan, what's been your experience, first-hand experience of seeing this relationship of, an, man, and tan. I mean, you've healed, you and your team work with, a lot of patients in healing them, and a lot of times even preventing some of these things to occur. But what's been your first-hand experience?
Yes, so thank you. I think Dr. Sandhya very nicely kind of rounded up how we have forgotten common sense when it comes to our diet. We've forgotten how our dadi nani lived and ate. So if we tell somebody to have a healthy diet, they want a dietitian to tell them what to eat. Whereas we know how healthy our own dal, roti, sabzi is. So, what I realize sitting in clinic is then when a patient is diagnosed with cancer, and I'm sure Dr. Vaid will agree with me, that they might go for a second opinion of treatment later. The first thing they start Googling is what can I eat and what should I stop eating? And there is so much on the net. I remember I was sitting once in an audience and somebody got up and said, is vitamin K16, does it prevent cancer? I had not studied this vitamin in my career as a medical student, so I didn't even know what it was. And there's a lot of scary fads out there, because the saddest thing, I think, when somebody is diagnosed with cancer is that they look at that plate of food and think, did I get it because of this? And food should be their solace, but sadly it ends up becoming scary for them. And patients start following crazy fad diets. So I think what is important to understand is that if you're eating what is natural, what is seasonal, what is locally available, and you eat it in moderation, then you are definitely don't need super advice to tell you what to eat and drink. Also, what we realize is that patients who live healthy lifestyles, they ask us, "Fir mujhe kyun hua? Main to vegetarian hu." I once had a patient who was a vegan for almost 30 years. So she said, "Mujhe kaise hua?" So the thing is that because we don't know when it will happen and to who it will happen, but if somebody has always followed a healthy diet, their recovery with the treatments, so they will have lesser side effects of treatments, their recovery will be much better. So that relationship is there. Now coming on to pesticide and insecticide food, I think this is a very controversial topic, and I must say I was very skeptical initially when I started buying. Why? Because organic food is not cheap to buy. And I read this very interesting quotation somewhere which said, don't ask why your food is expensive. Ask how is it so cheap? So if they are trying to sell you 5 rupees mein 10 kilo aloo, it is not possible to grow that much unless you have used a lot of pesticide and insecticide. Try growing one poda of tomato in your house and you will realize uspe itna keeda aata hai ki you will not be able to get a full supply unless you have used a lot of insecticide, pesticide. So I think we have to move towards consciously choosing food which is either residue free, and I think you should explain that to us, that is it actually possible to have proper pure organic food? I might not be using pesticide in my field, but the person next door is using. And in India, are rules that stringent with organic? Because we are not sitting here and telling everybody कि आप organic खरीदिए. In fact, on the government website, जो agriculture की website है for Ministry of Farming of India, on the front page, on the first page, they have this huge advisory on what to do to reduce surface pesticide and insecticide, that you should soak your fruits and vegetables for an hour in either salt water or vinegar water or soda bicarb. So that helps to reduce the surface pesticide, and you peel and eat whatever you can peel and eat, क्योंकि pesticide insecticide generally surface पे ज़्यादा होता है. So I think common sense approach towards diet, sensible eating, balanced eating, and having fixed timing of eating. Eating at 1 in the night when you're hungry, your body doesn't process it that well. So I think these things are important. Like our elders used to say, कि नाश्ता महाराजों जैसा, lunch राजाओं जैसा, और dinner भिखारियों जैसा. So you have to eat less in the night because cancer is a form of inflammation. And the more you keep putting in your body, to digest it, the body goes through a lot of inflammation, and that is why in India, our wisdom has taught us how fasting actually helps. In fact, there is a paper in scientific journals which talks about the role of intermittent fasting for ER-positive breast cancer patients. So I won't talk more here. I'd let you take it on. Thanks.
Sure. Thanks, doctor. So, बड़ी एक इंटरेस्टिंग बात आपने बोली कि आपके पौधे पे कीड़े आ जाते हैं. I'm not taking a detour, but possibly कीड़े या जो नेचर है ना वो हमसे ज़्यादा इंटेलिजेंट है. बेसिक कॉमन सेंस है. You know, I always say that where there is no pesticides, there will definitely be pests, because वो कुदरत का नियम है ना. Pesticide is not a part of the nature, इसलिए वहाँ पे पेस्ट नहीं रहता, वो मर जाता है, वो वहाँ आएगा ही नहीं. लेकिन जिस खेत में कोई पेस्टिसाइड नहीं डली है वहाँ पे आपको मधुमक्खी भी दिखेगी, चिड़िया भी दिखेगी, अर्थवॉर्म भी दिखेगा और कीड़ा भी दिखेगा. इसीलिए पालक के पत्ते जो बिना पेस्टिसाइड के उगाए जाते हैं उसमें होल होते हैं, राइट. And it is absolutely fine to see. Now very quickly on the residue free and you know organic possible है कि नहीं possible है. देखिए you obviously cannot control, ma'am, what your neighbor is doing, because if we go before green revolution, everything in India was by default organic. Organic is actually a Western word. सब जैविक था, सब natural था, because all we had was गौमूत्र, गोबर और देसी इलाज जो हमारे किसान जानते थे. But the advent of you know few of these, I would say, fast producing varieties, you know, has got us to a stage wherein now you know जैविक or natural food is in minority. You know, we have to say that, you know, come back to, अभी क्या बोलते हैं, we say that go back to the food that your forefathers used to eat, right? But वो लुप्त हो गया है, right? So हम neighbors को तो नहीं control कर सकते, but government rules allow करते हैं कि as long as you're not putting it in your, you know, format, it is fine. I'll come back to Sister Poonam now. You know, food as medicine and its role in curing us. You know, आयुर्वेदा में कहा गया है, sister, के you know, food is thy medicine. वो औषधि का दर्जा उसको दिया गया है, right? And जो हमारा अपना, जैसे डॉक्टर साहब ने भी बोला, इंडियन खाना है, जो सात्विक खाना है, जो नेचर की हार्मनी में उगाया गया, बनाया गया खाना है, उसकी हीलिंग प्रॉपर्टीज़ क्या होती हैं. मैंने तो खुद ही एक्सपीरियंस किया है कि अगर खाना भाव के साथ बनाया जाए, उगाया जाए तो एक बात है, बट अगर उसको भाव के साथ बनाया जाए किचन में, तो उसका स्वाद और न्यूट्रिशन अलग रहता है. इट माइट साउंड लिटिल, यू नो, philosophical, but we're talking about spirituality and food as its healing properties. So what is your, you know, 2 bits on this?
आपने बहुत अच्छा प्रश्न पूछा, और हमारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में भी फूड को बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट रोल माना जाता है उसका. तो इसमें जैसे आपने कहा कि जिस भावना से बनाया जाता है खाना, क्योंकि आप ये देखिए कि जो थॉट है वो किस थॉट से आप उस फूड को प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं. एक तो सात्विक फूड बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है, जैसे मैम ने कहा कि नेचर ने ही हमको वेजिटेरियन बनाए. ह्यूमन बींग्स को आप देखिए, प्रकृति ने ही ऐसा बनाया है कि हम वेजिटेबल्स या सीरियल्स या जो भी सात्विक खाना अगर हमारा होता है तो वैसे ही हमारे शरीर में बीमारियां कम आती हैं. नॉन वेज ऐसा नेचर ने हमको बनाया ही नहीं है. अगर नेचर हमको ऐसी बनाती तो फिर हम मांसाहारी हो सकते थे, नॉन वेजिटेरियन हो सकते थे. तो मेडिकल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से तो आपने जैसे कि अभी मैम से भी सुना, लेकिन मैं आपको स्पिरिचुअल व्यू इसका एक बताती हूँ कि जैसा हम भोजन खाते हैं वो हमारी सोच पे जा कर के असर करता है और वैसा ही हमारा बिहेवियर होने लगता है. आप देखिए, जो लोग नॉन वेजिटेरियन होते हैं, क्योंकि आप किसी भी जीव की हत्या करके उसका फ्लैश, उसका मांस आप पका करके खाते हैं, तो उसमें कोई अच्छी एनर्जी तो होगी नहीं. उसमें कोई अच्छी एनर्जी तो होती नहीं है. एक थोड़ा सा हमें कोई इंसान नुकसान करने आता है, हमें कोई भी चीज़ नुकसान करने आती है, तो हमारे मन में कौन से विचार आते हैं? हमारे मन में गुस्से के विचार आते हैं कि ये मुझे क्यों मार रहा है, ये मुझे नुकसान क्यों कर रहा है. तो आप सोचो, एक अमूक पशु जो बोल भी नहीं सकता है, जो अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस भी नहीं कर सकता, जब बूचर उसको मारता है, जब उसकी गर्दन काटी जाती है, तो उसके अंदर कौन सी हार्मोन्स, उसकी ओवरऑल बॉडी में कैसी हार्मोन्स सिक्रीट होती होंगी, ऑफ फियर, ऑफ हेट्रेड, कि ये इंसान होकर के हम पशुओं को क्यों मार रहे हैं. और वही सारी हार्मोन्स उसके फ्लैश में, उसकी मांस में चली जाती है, और उसी मांस को हम पका करके खाते हैं. सो नॉन वेजिटेरियन तो एक तरह से नेचर का ही लॉ नहीं है कि किसी की हत्या करके उसके पका करके आप उसको खाएं. और जहाँ तक वेजिटेरियन की भी बात है, तो जैसे मैं आपको कहती हूँ, हमारे यहाँ फूड का इम्पोर्टेंस ऐसे है कि जिस भावना से, अब आप देखिए लंगर में भी खाना बनता है और घर में भी खाना बनता है, हम सबके घर में। अब तो हमारा लाइफस्टाइल ऐसा हो गया है, मेरे ख्याल से 90% और 95% लोग अपने आप से कुक नहीं करते हैं, सबके घर में हेल्पर्स होते हैं, सबके घर में कुक्स होते हैं, तो वही कुक करते हैं। लेकिन आप पहले अपने पेरेंट्स या उनके भी पेरेंट्स के समय को याद करें, जब एक माँ खाना बनाती है तो कितना प्यार से बनाती है अपने बच्चों के लिए। उस खाने में उसकी क्या भावना होती है, उस खाने में उसकी ये भावना होती है कि ये खाना मेरे बच्चे खाएंगे और वो हष्ट पुष्ट बनेंगे, अच्छे से पढ़ेंगे, आगे बढ़ेंगे ज़िंदगी में। तो वो खाने की जो ओवरऑल एनर्जी है, जो वो प्यार वाली एनर्जी है, वो जब बच्चों को मिलती है तो वो ऑटोमेटिकली ही उनका साइकोलॉजिकल, फिज़िकल अपने आप ही सारा डेवलपमेंट होता है। और वहीं अगर उसके बदले कोई कुक है, अब आप देखिए कुक तो एक बिजनेस है, मतलब उसका तो एक नौकरी है ना। होटल्स में आप देखो खाना बनता है, उनका तो एक अपना काम है। तो उस काम के रिगार्डिंग वो किस वाइब्रेशन, वो अपनी जो लाइफ में प्रॉब्लम्स चल रही हैं उसको सोचते सोचते वो खाना बनाते हैं। तो उसमें कई बार दूसरी एनर्जीज़ भी जा रही हैं खाना बनाते समय। वो खाना जब खाते हैं तो वो कोई इतनी अच्छी एनर्जी होती नहीं है। तो इसीलिए भावना बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है। जब आप खाना बनाते हैं तो उस खाने को, इवन मैं तो ये कहूँगी खाना खाते भी कैसे हैं ये भी मायने रखता है। आज का फास्ट वर्ल्ड ऐसा हो गया है, आजकल आप पेरेंट्स भी देखिए, बच्चे को एक ही साथ खाना खाते खाते कई गैजेट्स में जब वो लगे हुए देखते हैं ना, तो कहते हैं कि हमारा बच्चा तो मल्टीटास्किंग है, एक ही टाइम पर आप देखिए कितने काम कर रहा है। लेकिन ये कोई अच्छी चीज़ नहीं है, ये कोई अच्छी चीज़ नहीं है कि बच्चा खाना खा रहा है तो उसके साथ साथ वो टीवी भी देख रहा है या फ़ोन भी यूज़ कर रहा है या लैपटॉप भी यूज़ कर रहा है, साथ साथ में और काम भी कर रहा है। तो बहुत ज़्यादा चीज़ें करने से भी वो जो एक खाने का असर है, वो जो एक खाने की मतलब हमारी शक्ति शरीर के अंदर आनी चाहिए, वो नहीं आती है। तो हम तो यहाँ ये कहते हैं कि जब आप पहले ज़माने में आप देखते थे कि भोजन को पहले उसको पूजा करके, पहले उसको अच्छे भाव से स्वीकार किया जाता था। और भोजन खाते समय पेरेंट्स कहते थे और कुछ भी नहीं करना है, सिर्फ भोजन खाइए, प्यार से भोजन खाइए, प्रसाद समझ करके भोजन खाइए। तो ये है कि किस भावना से आप भोजन बना रहे हैं और किस भावना से आप भोजन खा रहे हैं। अगर आप अच्छी भावना से भोजन बनाते हैं, अब जो भी होम मेकर्स हैं, लेडीज़ यहाँ पर बहुत बैठी हैं, मैं कहती हूँ कोई भी बीमारी है, आप सिर्फ एक अपने भोजन को सात्विक इज़ नॉट ओनली कि बाहर से, लेकिन मन से भी उसको अच्छी भावना से आप बना करके और फिर आप अपनी फैमिली को खिला के देखिए, फिर आप खुद खा करके देखिए, आप देखेंगे आधी से ज़्यादा बीमारी इन्हीं चीज़ों से ही ठीक हो जाती है। मेडिकेशन पे तो बहुत देर में जाने वाली बात है। जैसे पहले ही अगर हम कुछ अपनी लाइफस्टाइल में ये चेंजेस कर लें और उसको बहुत प्यार से खाइए, ये समझ करके खाइए ये प्रसाद है, परमात्मा ने ये हमको दिया है, इसको खा करके मेरा शरीर ठीक हो जाएगा, अच्छा हो जाएगा, शरीर में कोई रोग नहीं होगा, बीमारी नहीं होगी, ये भोजन मेरे लिए अमृत है। इस भावना से जब आप भोजन खाते हैं ना, तो वो भोजन
होता है उस वक्त आपकी क्या कैलोरी रिक्वायरमेंट है, क्या प्रोटीन रिक्वायरमेंट है, क्योंकि अगर कीमो चल रही है, रेडिएशन थेरेपी चल रही है, उस वक्त आपकी ज़रूरत ज़्यादा होती है। सो आई थिंक उस वक्त हमें जो अवेलेबल हमारे पास सर्कमस्टांसेस हैं, देखिए जब जैसे ही ये हम सुनते हैं हमें लगता है ये तो पॉसिबल ही नहीं है, ये हम कैसे करेंगे, यू नो ऑल वुमेन आर वर्किंग, मैं भी काम करती हूँ, मैं सुबह से निकल के शाम को 7 बजे घर पहुँचती हूँ, हाउ इज़ इट पॉसिबल दैट आई डू। द पॉइंट इज़ दैट हम जो लेके जाएँ, एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर है इन्फ्लेमेशन को रोकने के लिए और बीमारियों से बचने के लिए आपका राइट वेट, आपका BMI कितना है, क्योंकि अगर वज़न ज़्यादा होगा तो एक लो ग्रेड इन्फ्लेमेशन होगा, इंसुलिन रेजिस्टेंस आएगी, तो ये हर बीमारी के लिए आपको की तरफ लेके जाएगी। चाहे आप अगर ब्रेस्ट कैंसर होने के बाद जो हम सर्वाइवर्स बोलते हैं ताकि आगे आपकी हेल्थ अच्छी रहे, उसमें एक सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट और पहला पॉइंट है BMI को मेनटेन करना। जैसे ही हम BMI और वेट की बात करते हैं फिर फूड फैट्स आ जाते हैं, कोई कीटोजेनिक डाइट की बात कर रहा है, कोई इंटरमिटेंट की बात कर रहा है, कोई एटकिंस की बात कर रहा है. और आप अगेन like Dr. Kanchan was saying that there's so many things available in the market and there's a whole industry out there to tell you how to lose weight. Now you have to lose the weight the right way. So portion size, time of eating, following the circadian rhythm. Intermittent fasting is a good thing. In fact, a lot of literature is speaking about, not eating too much because it brings about the of autophagy. लेकिन उसका नुकसान ये है कि the younger generation understands कि नाश्ता छोड़ देंगे और देर रात को 1 या 2 मील खा के काम हो जाएगा. Now we have to use everything in totality and understand everything in totality. It's not feasting and fasting. सो सर्केडियम रिदम का मतलब है कि हमारी बॉडी का मेटाबॉलिज्म ऑटोमेटिकली रात के टाइम स्लो डाउन होता है क्योंकि हम सो रहे हैं. सो मेटाबॉलिज्म स्लो डाउन होगा तो हम लोग एनर्जी कंजर्वेशन वाले मोड में हैं. तो प्रेफरेबली अर्ली ईटिंग जो हम कहते हैं 7 बजे से पहले. अब आप कहेंगे हम 7 बजे से पहले खा नहीं सकते, हम तो रात को 9 बजे 10 बजे घर ही पहुँच रहे हैं, उसको लाइट कर लेते हैं फिर. द पॉइंट इज़ डोंट देन हैव अ हैवी मील कि घर जाते ही फिर हम, क्योंकि दिन भर हम बिजी थे तो वो उल्टा हो रहा है. जो हम कहते थे ब्रेकफास्ट लाइक अ किंग एंड लंच लाइक अ जेंटलमैन एंड डिनर लाइक अ पॉपर, ये रिवर्स पिरामिड हो चुका है. हम लोग पॉपर की तरह ब्रेकफास्ट खाते हैं, खाया नहीं खाया, लंच जैसे तैसे हो गया, एंड डिनर इज लाइक अ किंग व्हेन एवरीबडी इज टुगेदर. वी स्टार्ट विद अ स्नैक एंड वॉट एवर वी गेट. नाउ दैट स्नैक, दैट 1 cookie, 1 biscuit that you had is 100 कैलोरीज में भी. आप पूरे दिन रोटी अवॉइड कर रहे थे, आपने 2 बिस्किट चलते फिरते खाए, वो 1 रोटी बराबर था. इससे अच्छा तो 1 रोटी खा लेते हम. Also, be careful, read the label. Anything that is selling itself like a healthy product is not necessarily healthy. So, मैंने दीपक जी को भी बोला कि बाहर ऑर्गेनिक और हमारे कुकीज़ हो रहे हैं, बड़े खस्ता हैं वो ओट्स कुकीज़ और वो सब. Anything that's ultra processed and very tasty, take it with a pinch of salt. मतलब it's not possible to be that good. वो खस्ता कैसे बन रहा है? अगर आपने रोटी और मिलेट्स की रोटी घर में बनाई है, वो लंच तक इतनी हार्ड हो जाती है कि आपको लगता है कैसे खाया जाए. उसमें घी डाला जाएगा, तेल डाला जाएगा. अगर आप वेट पे काम कर रहे हो, आपको कैलोरी कंट्रोल करनी है, और अगर वो एक कुकी 200 कैलोरी दे रही है, तो आई वुड रादर नॉट गिव यू दैट. दैट 1 fistful of nut would be better. So the point is, understand what you're doing, take a holistic concept. Isolation में कोई भी चीज़, सुपर फूड आइसोलेशन में, अब कोई बोले कि हल्दी से आपका कैंसर ठीक हो जाएगा, गार्लिक से कैंसर ठीक हो जाएगा. कई लोग फास्ट कर रहे हैं. आई नो ऑफ पेशेंट्स who are actually fasting because that's another concept. So scientifically हम लोग तब तक वो बातें नहीं बोलेंगे जब तक हम देखेंगे कि एविडेंस, जैसे एविडेंस बेस्ड प्रैक्टिस बोली जाती है. सो हमें टोटलिटी में करना पड़ेगा, और दैट्स वेयर द डाइटिशियंस एंड प्रोफेशनल्स कम इन टू पिक्चर, वेयर वी से दैट वी हैव टू बी माइंडफुल ऑफ व्हाट वी आर डूइंग.
Thank you so much. I think that was very nicely put, because what happens is we hear a word and we want to follow it that very minute. So always, especially for patients here and their carers, please don't follow any diet unless you've
from the clinical nutritionist or the doctor. But I think holistically, as you guys are saying that, holistic health, is a sum total of, good thoughts, which is acha man, good food, which is acha an, and which, obviously leads to acha tan. So अगर ये 3 चीज़ें हम अपने साथ हमेशा रखेंगे, तो more than most times, we'll remain, both in good mental health as well as physical health. I think that's all.
Is there any question that anybody would like to ask any of us, and we can quickly take it now?
So my question is around a lot of patients are vegetarian, and it is often said that we should eat protein-rich food or vitamin B12-rich food during cancer treatment. But for vegetarians, it is often a little difficult to do that. So what are certain alternatives in vegetarian or vegan diet for that? And also if you can touch upon certain foods that help in managing side effects of cancer, specifically treatment per se, for example, maybe nausea or weakness or maybe neuropathy or something.
So 2 questions wrapped up in one. Vegetarian choices. See, when the patient is admitted in the hospital, we actually calculate the calorie protein requirement. The requirement would be, if it is high protein, it would be anything between 1.2 to 1.5, depending upon the assessment of the patient. So vegetarian sources aapke milk and milk product, pulses and legumes, soy products, all these are vegetarian this thing. Unfortunately, sometimes when the appetite has gone down too much and we do not have alternates, we use oral nutritional supplement as to the supplements that can be given to bridge the gap between the requirement and the patient's condition. So we will have to actually map the whole thing. So that was the answer to the first. The second question that you had was on side effects. So it is called nutrition impacting symptoms. So what happens in hospital, the dietitian is visiting the patient on day-to-day basis. So we will actually have to change, modify the consistency, maybe work with the temperature. किसी को नाशिया हो रहा है, उसको स्मेल से दिक्कत हो रही है, तो खाना चेंज कर दो, ठंडा कर दो, सॉफ्ट डाइट कर दो, उससे डिस्कस करना पड़ेगा what are the things. So we will have to individualize and customize. No one thing will work for everybody. So in this case, even if you would say that this patient should not be eating oily food, but at this point of time the patient is craving for that and that will work, I probably would break the rule and say let's just give that to the patient. So we will have to look at what is the nutrition impacting symptom and then accordingly modify. Nausea हो रहा है, diarrhea हो रहा है, जो भी हो रहा है, and then in hospitals we'll have to make use of, when we have worked, the first goal is to give the home cooked kitchen based food. If it's not working, we are not able to achieve the targets, then we will have to use oral nutritional supplement is the next best option. Of course, in discussion with the treating team.
So thank you. I hope this session was useful and we can take questions later on when we're outside. Thank you, Deepak ji. Thank you, Sister Poonam ji. Thank you, Dr. Sandhya, so much.
Request band to come forward for a small performance.
एशिया's फर्स्ट मोबाइल म्यूजिकल जैम रूम, जहाँ पे कि एक बस में एक प्रोफेशनल स्टूडियो है, 15-20 पीपल के लिए कैपेसिटी के लिए जैम रूम है, एंड देयर इज अ स्टेज एज वेल जो कि खुल सकता है, हम उस पर परफॉर्म कर। सो वी हैव रिकॉर्डेड बहुत सारे लोगों को, बहुत सारे आर्टिस्ट को, एंड जब तक ये टेक्निकल चीज़ें हो रही हैं हम थोड़ा सा बात कर लेते हैं। हम एक इंडिविजुअल फेलो अभी 400 बच्चों को म्यूज़िक सिखा रहा है, और अभी हमने लास्ट मंथ उन बच्चों से 5 रिकॉर्डेड सॉन्ग रिलीज़ किए हैं, विच इज़ अवेलेबल ऑन द स्पॉटिफाई, यूट्यूब। सर मोटिवेशन आर दोज किड्स एंड म्यूज़िक। सो आज हम कुछ अपने गाने आपको सुनाएंगे, होप आप सबको पसंद आएगा। सब सॉर्टेड है क्या टेक्निकल में? शुरू कर सकते हैं? शुरू माइक चेक कर
हेलो हेलो
चेक 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 हेलो
हेलो चेक हेलो हेलो चेक हेलो हेलो हेलो
चेक हेलो।
सो हेलो एवरीवन। तो हमारा पहला सॉन्ग है जो उसका नाम है आओ हम ढूंढ लें जीवन के सातों रंग। तो आप हमारे साथ गा सकते हैं, ये लाइन तो आप रिपीट कर ही सकते हैं, आओ हम ढूंढ लें जीवन के सातों रंग। तो आइए चलते हैं, सुनते हैं।
एक तराना ढूंढे खुशियों का खजाना। आओ हम ढूंढ ले जीवन के सातों रंग। आओ हम ढूंढ ले जीवन के सातों रंग।
इसके बाद हम गाएंगे इंग्लिश में।
We are one from today. We'll color life bright like a sun. आओ हम ढूंढ ले जीवन के सातों रंग। जीवन के सातों रंग। जीवन के सातों रंग। जीवन के सातों रंग।
ठीक। तो नेक्स्ट सॉन्ग हमारा फ़कीरी है, कबीर का एक सॉन्ग है, मन लागो मेरो यार फ़कीरी में। तो इस गीत में फ़कीरी का जो मतलब है वो फ़कीर नहीं जो फ़कीर आप लोग समझ रहे हैं। ये फ़कीर का मतलब है कि जैसे हम लोगों को फ़कीर गाने में मिलता है, आप लोगों को फ़कीर, लोगों को हेल्थ ठीक करने में आपको फ़कीर मिलता है, या फिर जो भी काम आपको करने में आपको खुशी मिलती है वो आपका फ़कीर हुआ। तो हम इसी सॉन्ग से चलेंगे, मन लागो मेरो यार फ़कीरी में। हद हद टपे सो औलिया,
बेहद टपे सो पीर, बेहद टपे सो पीर।
हद अनहद दोनों टपे,
वाको नाम फकीर कबीरा, वाको नाम फकीर। वाको नाम फकीर कबीरा, वाको नाम फकीर। वे फकीरी फकीरी रे फकीरी, फकीरी वे फकीरी, फकीरी रे फकीरी। जो सुख पायो राम भजन में, ओ जो सुख पायो राम भजन में, जो सुख पायो राम भजन में, वो सुख नाही अमीरी में, हो वो सुख नाही अमीरी में। मन लागो मेरो यार गरीबी में, मन लागो मेरो यार फकीरी में, मन लागो मेरो यार गरीबी में, मन लागो मेरो यार फकीरी में, मन लागो मेरो यार गरीबी में, मन लागो मेरो यार फकीरी में, मन लागो मेरो यार गरीबी में, मन लागो मेरो यार फकीरी में, मन लागो मेरो यार गरीबी में, मन लागो मेरो यार फकीरी में, मन लागो मेरो यार गरीबी में, मन लागो मेरो यार फकीरी में। ताना ना दीम ताना दे रे ना, ताना ना दीम ताना दे रे ना। दुम तना ना ना दीम तना ना ना, दुम तना ना ना दीम तना ना ना दीम ताना दे रे ना, दुम तना ना ना दीम तना ना ना दीम ताना दे रे ना। कहे कबीर सुनो भाई साधो, 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 कहे कबीर सुनो भाई साधो। साहिब मिलेगा, साहिब मिलेगा, साहिब मिलेगा सबूरी में, ओ साहिब मिलेगा सबूरी में। मन लागो मेरो यार गरीबी में, मन लागो मेरो यार फकीरी में, मन लागो मेरो यार गरीबी में, मन लागो मेरो यार फकीरी में, मन लागो मेरो यार गरीबी में, मन लागो मेरो यार फकीरी में, मन लागो मेरो यार गरीबी में, मन लागो मेरो यार फकीरी में, मन लागो मेरो यार गरीबी में, मन लागो मेरो यार फकीरी। साथ में गा सकते हैं आप? मन लागो मेरो यार गरीबी में, मन लागो मेरो यार फकीरी में, मन लागो मेरो यार गरीबी में, मन लागो मेरो यार फकीरी में।
Thank you so much.
ज़्यादा डरावनी बातें हो रही थी. So I really want to call up Sujaya Walia, one of my earliest patients and now a friend in the journey. And the reason why I want her to say a few words is that I have seen her change her life completely after the diagnosis of cancer without compromising on the quality of her life. Is that right? Because बहुत बार हमें लगता है कैंसर हो गया अब तो बोल दिया ये मत खाओ वो मत पियो ऐसे मत रहो वैसे मत करो. But I think Sujaya, for my initial years as a doctor, I had lots to learn from her and a lot of people have a lot to learn from her. So she'll say a few words and then Priyanka, if you're feeling brave enough, I'd like you to come up and say a few words as well. Okay? Come sit down.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kanchan. My journey with Medanta began 13 years ago nearly, when I was here with an esteemed set of doctors who were all here, diagnosed and successfully treated from breast cancer. And I think that's where my journey of hope really began, because I think, to go with what the band just sang, it was my moment of discovering that I needed to find Jeevan Ke Saaton Rang, which I thought sort of embodied where I began my journey. And to sum up with everything that people have on the panel here have shared with you in terms of food, in terms of lifestyle changes, diet, I think the foundation of it is innate belief that you need to have from the moment Dr. Kanchan or Dr. Ved or anybody tells you that, okay, you are positive for cancer, is to correlate that with the beginning of a story of hope that you will create and you will watch unfold in the most beautiful ways, surrounded by a big set of framework of family, caregivers, doctors, down to the nurses, down to the guard, the gateman who opens the door at Medanta, the liftman. And I know I have a lot of poignant moments that I remember coming in for radiation, chemo, where I'd walk in and I'd say, okay, thank you for opening that lift door for me, and thank you. And by the time I got to the 10th floor, I was ready. I was ready, saying what's going into me is just getting me that much closer to health, to getting back to my life, my children, my dogs, my parents, my husband. And I'd like to share with all of you going through journeys here today and those that are caregivers that there is hope, and just hold on to that with everything you have, because as tough as those 6 to 8 months are, life after that can be actually supremely beautiful, supremely rewarding, and in many ways I feel a lot more than you have lived so far, because you live it with a reverence for every day, a reverence for every emotion, every relationship that you have, and you learn to actually enjoy small things in life. And that's why I said what they sang was Jeevan Ke Saaton Rang. That's what you should begin your journey with, and keep that song if you can in your head, because it can be a physically painful and sometimes emotionally turbulent journey, but there is such a light at the end of the tunnel if you can hold on, and the caregivers can hold on with you through that journey, that I would like a lot of them here who are probably watching or being treated to be able to come up and do this 12 years, 13 years down the line. Yeah? Thank you.
Hello everyone. So yeah, to add with what Sujaya said, same thing for me. I learned a lot about myself after I got cancer. I didn't know I can, run, because I was never good at running in school also. But after I was diagnosed with cancer, done with my treatment in 2012 and 13, I got an opportunity to join a running group. And I joined that, and after that, my main mission was to be with Pinkathon, which was the breast cancer awareness runs, which used to happen. And I started with just 5 kilometers, and there was a day when I was to do 21 kilometers. And it was like, I can't do this, it is not possible for me. But then I just remembered 2 years before that very particular day, same day I was undergoing my first chemotherapy. And I thought, if I did do this, I will be so proud of myself. And without any preparation, I just went for that run. And believe me, I dragged myself, I walked and I did whatever I could. In 3.5 hours, I completed 21 kilometers. Yeah. So that was that was something which I discovered about myself, which I thought could have never happened if cancer wouldn't have happened to me. So yeah, I did take that challenge of taking care of myself and taking care of my family, friends, everyone around me. I am a nutritionist by profession, so diet was something which came naturally to me. So I was taking care of myself, and this year again, when the relapse happened, again I thought about it, what could be the reason behind it. And I went with the flow when Dr. Kanchan told me to get the genetic test done. And my genetic came positive, and so as she suggested, this time, it was like I had no thought about whatever was happening. I just went with the flow of, I believed in Dr. Kanchan, and whatever she told me, I got done. And here I am, it's just 1.5 months after my surgery. And all the best to all of you. And I'm sure, if we take it positively, there is, a beautiful world after cancer.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you, Sujaya. And there's so many of you in the audience who are either starting the journey or have recently completed the journey. There is so much hope and light at the end of the tunnel. And I can tell you from experience, I see most of my patients living better lives than they did before a diagnosis of cancer. So I think ab bhashanbazi bahut ho gayi hai na, Dr. Sandhya? We have some snacks and food laid out for you. So let's all catch up outside so we can all have an interaction rather than one person at the end of the mic and the other person there. Thank you so much to all of you for attending. And thank you, Anchal and Jitendra, for organizing it all for us. So let's all go outside where we can actually talk to each other openly now. Thank you.